Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm back with another Justin Baldoni video. I contemplated for weeks whether or not this was a video worth making, and I feel like so many people have placed Blake Lively under the media microscope that they've completely forgotten about her alleged abuser, and that might be exactly what he wants. For those who are so quick to nitpick at everything Lively has ever done in her life, have you looked at Justin through that same critical lens? Today, I want to highlight the many times in which Baldoni has told on himself. These are ranked in no particular order, but if you have a personal favorite that you'd like to mention in the comments, feel free. In Blake Lively's original CRT complaint, she mentions that Baldoni's business partner, Jamie Heath, showed her a nude video of his wife giving birth. Baldoni's lawsuit not only confirmed that, but in the amended version, it actually said it was at the director's request. So now, both men are implicated in that. In the voice note that Baldoni leaked to the media, he does three things: praises Lively for her contributions and strong friendships, apologizes for having been dismissive of her work, and reassures her that he will hold himself accountable. Whether he meant any of what he said is very unclear because, while apologizing to her, he acknowledges her vulnerability in her initial text message, but he now claims he'd considered that message a threat. So which is it, Baldoni? Did you think she was being sincere and vulnerable, or was she being aggressive and threatening? Whatever the case, he could not have perceived her as both, and he ultimately only reveals his own two-faced nature. Pretty much all of the evidence he includes in his lawsuit is him openly admitting to being a two-faced coward. The lawsuit itself says he invited Lively to make changes to the script. In a text to her, he praised her contributions to the movie. In yet another message to her, he makes a show of acquiescing to her request. But behind the scenes, his co-producers have grown frustrated with his inability to fulfill his duties as the director. In this lawsuit, he claims he felt the movie was being taken from him, but if that's true, it's because he handed it over. The video footage he released also says more about him than it does about Lively. It proves her claims, given that the script for the scene included none of the kissing and physical intimacy he exhibited, meaning he had improvised intimacy that had not been rehearsed, choreographed, or discussed with Miss Lively in advance. Most of what she described in her complaint happened, with minor discrepancies that can be explained easily by the very obvious fact that she was recalling the experience from memory. The only thing I really see informing the public's opinion is whether or not they believe she was uncomfortable or not, which is incredibly subjective because 1, uncomfortable does not look the same on everyone, and 2, she was also trying to act in that scene. Not to mention that women often try to hide their discomfort and disgust so as not to upset men. But that aside, we can see that Baldoni is way too comfortable with lying and manipulating a narrative. His lawsuit's account of events during the shooting of that scene includes omissions crucial to understanding the context in which things were said, intending to mislead the viewer into thinking that Lively had been mean to him when every joke she made was prompted by his own comments. I have a whole video about that if you'd like to check it out. One manner in which Baldoni has been attacking Lively is through her husband, Ryan Reynolds. He has accused Reynolds of verbally attacking him, supposedly out of nowhere. But considering the context of Lively's allegations, doesn't it actually make more sense that Ryan Reynolds would blow up at him if something did happen on set? I wasn't sure if I should count Nice Pull with the first Ryan Reynolds thing, but I feel like it deserves its own category. Because wow, almost nobody would have made the connection had Baldoni not mentioned it himself first. Nobody knew who he was when the Deadpool and Wolverine movie came out, but if Nice Pull was intended as a mockery of Baldoni, this only shows how fragile Baldoni's ego is, because mockery is not illegal. Also, if he believes Nice Pull represents him, and Nice Pull exhibits typical nice guy, and I say that derogatorily, behaviors, isn't he copying to those behaviors himself? In his email to Colleen Hoover, we can see that Baldoni had a vision for the film that seems to be very apologetic towards abusers. He describes the story as romantic, and given that he primarily speaks of Lily and Ryle, that seems to be his characterization of their relationship. He also buys Ryle's red flag comments from the rooftop scene that there are no bad guys. Remember that Ryle was implying in that scene that included Lily's father, an abuser, and it was indicative of the abuser that he would show himself to be towards Lily. In an interview with Access Hollywood, Baldoni himself says that while acting as Ryle, he would get immersed in the character and go too far. I mean, talk about an own goal. Finally, Justin Baldoni talks high and mighty, but he is too much of a coward to follow what he preaches. He says that men need to stop asking women why they stay, but he has his lawyers out there insinuating Blake wouldn't have stayed on the project if she had been harassed. He asks men to be man enough to acknowledge their own failings towards women, but he blames the scripting for additional sex scenes on the intimacy coordinator. He claims to be a feminist who cares about women, but he drags Taylor Swift into this mess by referring to her as a mega celebrity friend throughout the rest of the lawsuit while leaving her name in a single text. It's obvious he wants to act as if he's trying to hide her identity while actually using her name to feed the narrative that Blake, through her associations, had more power than him, even though he was literally her boss. At least Taylor has enough of a fan following that she can stay mostly protected from this. But you know who doesn't? The actress Isabella Ferrer, who played young Lily in the movie. By suggesting a betrayal from her, he exposed her to online bullying and intimidation from those rallying to support him. This one, I think, shows his feminism is all talk and no walk. But that's a video for another time. Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? I'm happy to correct anything I may have gotten wrong, but I won't tolerate comments that just repeat Baldoni's narrative without any actual support. Anyway, as usual, if you found this beneficial in any way, like, don't subscribe.